Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about my thoughts on the controversy that is currently surrounding that of Jenna Ortega and a guy she's been seen with multiple times by the name of Elias Rønnenfelt, who has a very white supremacist neo-Nazis past. Or alleged one, that is. So, Jenna Ortega. First things first, if you ever heard me talk about her, you know I am a massive Jenna Ortega fan. Very proud of her career. You know, she's come a long way. And no, I'm not talking about Disney Channel. If you truly know who Jenna Ortega is, you know one of the first things she got her start in was Richie Rich. I believe it came on Hulu and it was an awesomeness type show, I believe it was. I think it only ran from like one season and she was very young. Going from that to landing her gig in Disney Channel. Going from that to being in the X movie, being in Scream, Wednesday, Beetlejuice, and so on and so on. At one point in time, she was Hollywood's new it girl. But like I said before, with decisions she makes and movie choices and stuff, that has now faded away. To the point to where a lot of her movies flop. Every time she does an interview, she tends to piss people off. And now this controversy. But let me keep in mind, if you ever watch my channel, you know I don't give an F. I will judge a person based on their character. Even if I'm a massive fan of theirs, I will criticize point blank. It is my judgment, my right to judge, and I have opinions. And yes, I am very disappointed in her. Out of all the millions and millions of people in the world, why in the world is she gonna date somebody with a controversial past? Now, this completely escaped my notice. Despite me following her on social media, she keeps her life extremely private, as she should. And like I said before, you never know who she dates because she keeps her life private. She's a smoker, which many people did not know until paparazzi caught a picture of her. Either paparazzi or a fan. And just like with this guy she's allegedly dating, because she has not come forward with that, a random person, this dude was slick, but not slick enough. I think they were in a foreign country. She was out in a restaurant with him, like being very close to him and everything. And some guy turned his phone on selfie mode and recorded them as he was walking away. To where Elias caught wind of it, alerted her, and boy, she ducked down so fast. The type of ducking to where, say you're out in public and you're with somebody, but that somebody ain't the person you're dating or the person you're married to, and you duck down real fast and try to cover your face with your hand. That's what she did. She ducked, she covered her face, and then when she turned back around, she was pissed off. She did not want people to know she's dating this dude, and there's good reason why. And this dude has a controversial past spanning over 10 years ago. Now, I have no idea who this dude is. I have never heard of him, period. And I've never heard of his band. But his name is Elias Rønnenfelt. He is Danish from Denmark, and he has an alternative indie band by the name of Iceberg, which is still going on till this day, and their new album supposed to drop in 2026. He is also a poet. And so it was hard finding information on this dude because he does not have a Wikipedia page, but his band does. But all the controversial stuff has been scrubbed from their Wikipedia page. Ah, how clever of them. Now, I got wind of this, I think a day ago, because I was just watching a random video on YouTube about something completely different. And the recommendation thing at the bottom had a video of Jenna Ortega. I'm like, oh no, what did she do now? What did she say now? So I watched the video, and it was one of those gossip like YouTube channels. Here's the thing, right? I ain't no gossip YouTube channel. I tell it how it is, and I actually do some research. However, there's a problem going around on YouTube surrounding this dude. There are multiple, and I mean multiple gossip YouTube channels and clout chasers constantly reporting on this. The problem is not too many of them are actually saying anything of value. They're just regurgitating stuff that other people have said. And some people will start off by saying Jenna Ortega is dating Elias Rønnenfelt, and then they'll show clips from somebody else's video. I hate clout chasers. They get on my nerves and everything. They don't make real videos and everything. As for gossip YouTube channels, I do have a problem with them because they don't always state everything. They only state the controversy, and they leave certain important details out. One detail in my video I will not leave out after doing some research and everything. Also, with a lot of these gossip sites, they always say, oh, this person did that and that person did this, with no real proof. And they never say allegedly, because nobody really truly knows if it's real or not. And I get really tired of some of these gossip. Some of these gossip sites are pretty cool, but then it's like every once in a while you'll see one and they're all like, this person actually did this. No proof. I can't stand that. So with all that being said, here is my unbiased, true thoughts opinion on this. Despite being a massive fan of hers and being very proud, I am also now very disappointed. So here I go. So, like I told you before, she was caught in a restaurant, I think in a foreign country, with this dude, and somebody videotaped them. She freaked out, covered her face, and then looked pissed off, mad. Him, on the other hand, just looked pissed off 24/7. And, obviously she did not want nobody to know that, she was with this dude. For one reason, she just keeps her life private. Second reason, he is controversial. Now, why exactly is this dude controversial? Who exactly is Elias, and what is Iceberg, his band? Well, first things first, those two are 10 years apart. She is 23, he is 34. So that's something to take in consideration. Now, thankfully, she is an adult and she can date whoever she wants, so whatever age, as long as they're old and everything, or older, not no underage person. But, out of all the people to date, why somebody with a controversial past? I don't have a problem with the age gap. Love is love, but you gotta be careful, especially when it's an older person, because they will try to brainwash you. Anyways, so Elias, Danish, from Denmark, has an alternative rock band and everything. His rock band is very controversial because 10 years ago, when they were starting off, they engaged in a lot of racism and neo-Nazism and violence and stuff like that. And this is very shocking because it's kind of like you would think she's better than that, right? Now, let me roll off some of the things that they have done. And no, I don't have to say allegedly, because this stuff has actually been proven and they've actually apologized. I'll get into that a little bit later. So, I don't know which picture I'm showing up first or what description I'm putting up first, because My computer's busted right now. It overheated and the audio's been off. The audio's been off for a couple of months now since last year, which is why some of my audio kind of sounds a bit off, or why certain audios will combine into like another. Anyway, this band has, oh boy. Okay, first things first. Elias, when he was 18 years old, right? He drew some pictures of like Klansmen, and he drew a picture of the steel cross. Now, every time he does something stupid, and he does a lot of stuff stupid along with the band, the first thing he does is apologize and says, oh, you know, in those earlier days, I was young, I was ignorant, and I was flirting around with racism and white supremacy and stuff to be edgy and provocative. Now, and he also said that, like, you know, he didn't understand the weight of those symbols because the steel cross, he got that from a 1980s movie. Now, this is one thing those gossip site leaves out, the part that he apologizes. Now, is he telling the truth? Heck if I know. I don't know this guy, and I don't know much of the stuff he posts. However, one thing I have noticed about ignorant people, especially ignorant people like him, is that they are quick to apologize and always say, oh, well, you know, the excuse is I was young and just stupid and naive and everything. That's always an excuse from people, especially from celebrities, because they want to be famous, but they don't want to take accountability for what they do. I believe he knew exactly what that meant. Why? He's from Denmark. Denmark is 7 hours from Germany. And the steel cross is a symbol of Nazism. Nazis use that symbol all the time. Any person who's ever seen any movie or television show with a Nazi symbol, there are three distinct symbols that you will see. And one of them is this steel cross. And since Denmark is 7 hours away from Germany, trust me when I say his country knows about what happened in World War II. In fact, Denmark was occupied by Germany for 5 full years from 1940 to 1945. So at some point in time, he learned about that in history class. So I don't believe a word he is saying when he said he didn't know that symbol was bad and everything. Now, the creators of He-Man, they used that, or a variation of that symbol that looked very symbol. I can't talk. Okay, the creators of He-Man at one point in time, either in the comic or one of the toys or something like that, they used a symbol that looked very similar to that. They had to redesign it because it looked too much like the steel cross. And yes, of course, that happened in the 80s, so whatever. He's old enough to know about that now. So I don't believe for a second he didn't know what that symbol meant. He knew because just like he said in another apology, they was trying to be provocative. Moving on. Another controversy that the band has had is that they started this festival and they invited a band, and the band is called the White N-Words. I'm not going to say what the N-word is, and no, the band is not called N-word. They actually use what that word is. And they brought this band on over. Talking about they didn't think this would be so controversial, blah, blah, blah. That's another excuse. They know what the N-word is. They know what that means. They are not stupid. All right? But they play like they are stupid. And especially that of Elias and everything. Any person living in the year 2026 who is over the age of, say, like 13 knows exactly what that word is and what that word meant back in the day. And how hurtful that racial slur is. The fact that they will have a band that is named that is disgusting. Their excuse is that, you know, they're trying to promote like all these like, unknown bands and stuff like that. So they willingly knew that this band had a controversial name and still tried to have them on their festival. Then come the badges. The badges. They wore a badge by some guy named Vikernes or something like that. Now, I've never heard of this man, but he is, you guessed it, a neo-Nazi white supremacist who engaged in racism back in the day and murdered somebody. Spent 15 years in prison. And they wore his badge on them to promote him. And of course, the excuse is they was naive. They didn't know what the weight of that was, and they was not, and they just didn't know the scope of it all. I swear. Oh boy, I swear. Oh wait. I got the band mixed up. The White N-word band. I got them mixed up with this other neo-Nazi band that they brought with them or something like that. I forget the name of the band. I think it's called Absurd or something like that. And the band is very controversial, and they are the ones that are like this, like not well known, that they're trying to get known and stuff like that. But yes, they did invite the White N-word band as well. And then, of course, there is this whole knife situation. Now, I can't personally find no information on the knife, but apparently they used to sell knives and everything. I don't know what these knives look like. The knife thing doesn't really bother me, because who doesn't own weapons, you know what I'm saying? And bands sell the weirdest things, but the fact that they will sell knives is kind of weird and something to consider. Now, as for him himself, I have been on his Instagram page, and I have seen him hold up a rifle and hold up a baseball bat. He just made this song or poetry called like America Baby, where he puts on an American flag scarf around his face, and he's holding up a baseball bat and this and that. I didn't listen to the lyrics. I'm not about to listen to the lyrics. I read some of the lyrics online. It's like poetry. I don't get it, but like, hey, whatever. He is a very odd dude. Now, when it comes to this band and that of Elias, they suffer from something known as stupid white boy syndrome. Basically, they know right from wrong, but they choose to be stupid. And they choose to be controversial. Now, they have apologized in the past, and like I said before in the past, they keep saying that, they was young, they was naive, they didn't know what, the weight of like what this would have on people, how it would affect people, this and that. I don't believe that at all. I believe, yes, they were trying to be provocative. Yes, they were trying to trigger people and to get people into noticing them and then listening to their music. It's the equivalent of like a female singer who dresses half naked and sings around on stage. But the fact is, they willingly knew this would like trigger people, and they did it anyways. I believe their flirtation with racism is just them being ignorant and stupid and on the lines of borderline prejudice and everything. Cause they keep denying they're not right wing, and they're not Nazis, and they're not white supremacists, but they have dabbled in it in some degree. And this is something to consider and something to be worried about and everything. Because who the heck does stuff like that? I mean, when I was 18, I was not using racial slurs. I wasn't drawing racial stuff. I wasn't trying to promote racial people. And so many other people in the world have not done that either. The fact that they are using this as an excuse is simple as that. It is an excuse. It's an excuse to have people forgive them and move on. Similar to that of Kanye West, a very hateful, prejudiced, racist person who uses his bipolarism to be an excuse. It is not an excuse and everything. There are plenty of people who are bipolar who don't act like him. And this is disgusting behavior. And this is disgusting behavior that people use all the time. Comedians try to get away with this. I'm sorry, but comedians, I've said before, are demented in the head. They go around saying all this offensive stuff, and then all of a sudden, you're supposed to just laugh. Oh no, it's a joke. We're not racist. It's just something funny. Like, no, you are. You might not be an extreme racist, but you are prejudiced to some degree, to some level. And it's very shocking because of the simple fact that Jenna Ortega acts like she's better than this. So why in the world is she with this dude? Because last year it was reported there's a video of them kissing and everything. I did see a glimpse of that video and stuff like that. Now, of course, people have come to their defense. Surprise, surprise. And you could probably guess what race they are. And the excuse is, well, this was 10 years ago. How were you 10 years ago? And this is when he was 18. And this is when he was 23. And how were you when you was 18? And how were you when you was 23? And all that other bull crap and everything. And it's like, no. Not every 18-year-old does that. Not every 23-year-old does that. And can we please stop using the excuse of 18 and 20-year-olds being young people or young kids? They're young adults, but they're not teenagers and they're not kids. If he was 3 or 10 or 13, you could probably give that a pass then, because yes, he would be really stupid and stuff like that at that age and not know no better, but he's a grown man and a grown adult and everything. And people need to stop giving these people, especially these celebrities and especially these foreign celebrities, excuse for racism. It is similar to when these like Korean pop bands and rock bands and Japanese bands, they start using things like the N-word, or they start showing like Nazi symbols in their clothes and everything. Like this one Japanese singer. Oh no, she said she didn't know what the Nazi symbol meant and everything. And her fans all like, it's just like a different culture. They don't know our ways and everything. They probably don't know about World War II and blah, 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 blah. It's a cultural thing. First things first, Japan actually allied themselves with Nazi Germany. So trust me when I say she knew what that symbol meant. And people need to stop giving these fools like excuses and everything. There is no excuse for racism. There is no excuse for like, you know, inviting a band that has a controversial name. There is no excuse for wearing like the picture of like a murderer and like a white supremacist on your clothes and this and that. There is no excuse whatsoever. Age is not an excuse. Naivete is not an excuse, and certainly not trying to be provocative and trigger people so that you get some attention. Now, as for Jenna, some people have said that since she started messing around with him, that she has changed in appearance and this and that. All right, here's the thing you need to understand about her. As somebody who has followed her career for many, many, many years, her appearance have changed, yes. But here's the thing, like I said before, she's private. You don't know what she's like until she actually says it. She is very glamorous. She is very gorgeous and everything. And she used to always dress that way until she did the Wednesday show. When she did the Wednesday show, she revealed she's a little bit like Wednesday. She likes dead things and likes to collect dead things in her backyard when she was younger. That tells me she has a morbid curiosity. Second thing, second, her appearance has changed, but it wasn't until she started doing the Wednesday show. That was 2022. She hasn't been seen with him till 2025. In 2022, this is when she started to dress a bit more goth and everything. However, it should be noted, in 2025, when Wednesday season 2 came out, this is when her face dramatically changed. She bleached her eyebrows that made it look like she shaved them off. I don't know what she did to her face, but her face got super thin with these indented lines and everything. And this is when she started to smile less and less and less and started to have this look on her face. Now, she's always been skinny. That is the thing. I don't think she Ozempic, but she clearly did something to her face. And I do believe after interacting with him and him being like an indie alternative band and her having a morbid curiosity and a bit of like a goth thing, I do believe that some of him has imprinted onto her, especially when it comes to that of her face and how she's always staring into the camera. In case you haven't noticed, she really hasn't smiled in the past year and a half. And when you look at pictures of him, he always looks like some type of emo, alternative, grunge type dude in the face, or he always looks pissed off like he's gonna murder somebody. I kid you not, he always looks pissed off and everything. Now, when it comes to her, I am very disappointed, like I said before, that she would date him because there are a million other people in the world, and why can't she get with somebody who is not controversial? And it's very shocking because of who she is and what she stands for and everything. Let's not forget that she outed her Disney Channel co-star for being racist and everything back in 2016. Let's not forget her co-star Ronnie is white, and Ronnie has played 2 Latino people on television. But Jenna Ortega let the whole world know that Ronnie went to her backstage and literally made fun of Mexican people and talking about how they're gardeners and how you know who should build that wall and everything. And this was shocking because Ronnie's white and she plays 2 Latinos and everything. And it was to the point where Ronnie was written out of season 3 of that Disney Channel show in the first episode and did not return until the last. That made me assume that Jenna Ortega doesn't like it when, like, say, other races play other races and then makes fun of them. But then, after doing more research, the 2 parents on the show are Italian and not Latina, and they just pretended to be Latina. So apparently she doesn't have too much of a problem with that. Plus, she is currently playing a half white, half Mexican on the Wednesday show. And she has played white characters before, like in that movie with Paul Rudd, that unicorn movie. So apparently she doesn't have a problem with people playing other races. But then sometimes it seems like she does, because somebody asked her, would you like to play like a superhero or something like that? And she said, already done that, been there, done that, because she was in Iron Man 3. A lot of her dialogue scenes got cut, and she was basically in there just for a few minutes. So that has always pissed her off. Plus, she said she would prefer not to be race bent or gender bent. She just said create like new characters. So then that makes you think, okay, so she's not for race bending, but if she isn't, then why in the world is she playing white characters and everything? Then there's the whole Tim Burton thing. Now, first things first, no, he did not create Netflix's Wednesday. He's an executive producer and he directed a few episodes. It has his style, but that's about it. But he did cast her in Beetlejuice because of her performance in Wednesday. And of course, Tim Burton has controversies and racism as well because he doesn't like to cast people of color in his projects. He has stated that. He said he doesn't like political correctness, which the new phrase of political correctness is wokeism and everything. And yet she still starred in his movie, the same movie that had nothing but black folks on the Soul Train, which was to make fun and poke fun at the fact that he doesn't cast black people in a lot of his projects. And it's just kind of like she acts like she stands for this, like, fighter for like injustice here and there, but then she goes and works with these people like Tim Burton and stuff. Then there is that Percy guy who was on the Wednesday show who got canceled and fired because of alleged affiliation with like an underage girl. To the point that where after he got fired from the show, she did a movie with him. And it's just kind of like, dude, he's under investigation for some underage crap. Why are you with the movie with him and stuff? And then there, of course, is the whole Scream debacle and everything, and how she left the franchise because of Melissa Barrera getting fired after Melissa posted those statements about freeing Palestine and Gaza, and she got fired from it. And Jenna, for the longest time, it was assumed because of scheduling conflict, she wasn't going to be in it, which I still believe is a factor. But she later finally stated after Scream 7 came out that it's because of Melissa why she left and everything. Because she too wants to free Palestine and stuff like that. Now, the whole Melissa firing thing, it does make you wonder because Jasmine Savoy Brown and Jenna Ortega both are for Palestine, and yet they did not get fired, but Melissa did. But Melissa likes to have tricky wordplay and everything, and I believe that triggered the algorithm and made it seem like anti-Semitism. And whether or not she meant it, well, she did say that Scream fans are no different from R. Kelly fans, meaning when something bad happens, they turn their head. So she knows what she be saying and stuff. And she spelt two countries in a very controversial way. So that's probably what got her fired, I'm assuming. But it makes you think, if she goes around standing up for Palestine and standing up for racism, and she doesn't like it when people make fun of Mexicans and stuff, then why in the world are you going to date a guy that played around with white Semitism and everything? Why fool around with somebody in white supremacy, who dabbled in it and stuff like that? And that goes against the very nature of the things she allegedly preaches and like believes in and stuff. Who knows? Maybe she's fake. Maybe she is for, injustice and everything. But when it comes to somebody she likes, she'll turn a blind eye to that and everything. Like, who knows? There are a lot of people like that. Like Leah Michelle, who was all like, oh, Black Lives Matter. Until, of course, she got outed for saying some really bad stuff when she was on Glee. Same thing with former wrestler Candice Michelle. She did the whole Black Lives Matter until people reminded her of what she said about black people and stuff. There are many people who associate themselves with certain people, groups, political circles, but then claim they are not like prejudiced and this and that. And it's one of those things, when you associate yourself with somebody, you are basically who you associate yourself with. I'm getting so tired of this whole, well, they believe in that, but I don't believe in this, and blah, 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 blah. Like Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman has a lot of controversial scumbag friends and everything, and some who are very scandalous. But yet he pretends to be this nice guy and everything. How can you be such a nice guy when you align yourself with somebody who is crooked? I don't understand that. And I don't understand people like that. Like, who you associate yourself with, plain and simple. That means either you don't care or you have those same beliefs yourself. Either way, that makes you look like a bad person and everything. Now, to be fair, this band and Elias has not done anything controversial in, well, I don't know how many years, but like I said before, this was like a long time ago. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he changed and everything. Some people do change and stuff like that. Some change for the better and some change for the worse. I told you the story before of when I was in college and I was hanging out with a friend in her dorm and she decided to confess something to me. Now she's white and of course I'm black. And she told me when she was a teenager, she used to be racist and everything, and she used to hang out with white supremacists and go to their groups and everything when she was a teenager. Note, when we was in college, that was only a few years in between. And I'm just thinking to myself, holy crap, I cannot believe this because of the simple fact she hangs around tons of people of color now and everything. So she changed. Who knows? Maybe he did too, or maybe he did not. I have no idea and everything. Either way, it was really stupid and ignorant of him to do what he did in the past, for whatever reason, it worked. And you gotta stop and think about it like this. It worked in two different ways. It worked to get his band noticed and have a legion of fans. I can't think of her name. Oh, Esme Mills, I think, who I talked about before. She follows him on social media and she doesn't act ignorant and everything. She's actually progressive and supports LGBT stuff, and I think she might be in a relationship with a girl, but I'm not sure. Her mom, however, has done some controversy in the past. When she was younger, she hit somebody, a person of color, or said something, I can't remember. But her mom has changed. Mark Wahlberg, remember, he stabbed that Asian man in the eye when he was a teenager. He was a very hateful, racist person back then. He says he changed. Some people say because of his political association, ain't nothing changed. But hey, that's for you to decide because I don't like talking about politics. But some people do change and some people don't. Now back to Elias. It worked in the fact that, yeah, him and his band got noticed and people listened to their music and they started liking it. It also worked because since he dabbled in white supremacy, he brought over some white supremacists to like his band and everything. Why the heck would you want that? And like I said before, when it comes to these foreign countries, stop giving these people a pass. There is so much racism in the world and neo-Nazism, you will have no idea. It will make your head spin. When the whole Russian-Ukraine war started and everything, there's this Russian bodybuilder who was in Kick-Ass 2. She's the Russian lady with the muscles and the blonde hair and everything. I used to follow her online. And I actually talked to her one time too. And one time when the war started, the Russian-Ukraine war, she posted a picture of Ukrainians, but she only posted a picture of the white supremacist ones. And she posted underneath, this is what all you people in the in other countries are supporting. Meaning that she sides with her country starting a war with Ukraine and trying to say that all Ukrainians are like that. First of all, not all Ukrainians are like that. There are racist white people all around the world. And so, for her to post that was just plain ignorant. And I unfollow her because of that and everything. Now, maybe she said what she did because she believes in it, or maybe she had to because in their country, you got to say things like that because if not, something's going to happen to you. And so you just never know with some people, you know what I'm saying? So this is a stain on Jenna Ortega. This really, really is. And like I said before, she needs to decide what decision she's going to make because people are getting wind of her in Hollywood and a lot of people are getting tired of her. And don't act like she's not an independent, strong thinking person. I mean, she is one of those type of people who doesn't want to adhere to the crap that a lot of people in Hollywood have to go through and everything. She's trying to make moves for herself. She's an executive producer on the Wednesday show. What she wants, she gets and everything. She doesn't want to be in that school uniform because she says, oh, it makes her feel like she's trapped as a teenager. But yet she took on that role knowing she's playing a teenager and wearing a uniform. But oh, surprise, surprise, now in season 3, she's not going to wear that uniform because they wrote it to where she's not going to be in school and she's looking for Enid and everything. Then she didn't want no love triangle in Wednesday season 2, and surprise, surprise, she got her wish. She rewrote some stuff in the script behind the showrunner's back and it got approved. She's gonna be in a new movie soon, and I read it online. This is the part that's crazy. They gave her creative control over what outfits she gets to wear in the movie. That's a lot of sway power from somebody who's not an executive producer on the movie. I don't believe she is, but yet they gave her that power for some reason. And, but who knows? Maybe, like I said, maybe she's faking everything. Because think about it. She has been typecast for a while now as a moody teenager and everything. And ever since, like, Scream 6 and everything. And other roles she's played in, like X and like the unicorn movie, she's always played these kind of morbid or people darkish gray area who have attitude and like the angsty teenager type thing or the grumpy teenager. And it's just kind of like maybe this is who she is, because she does she can play good and bad very well. But maybe people just don't know her like they wish they knew her and everything. And that's the thing. Nobody really knows who she is until she lets you know, because she's a private person. And she tried her best to keep this private. And whoever that dude was, boy, he was slick, but not slick enough. Because when she caught wind of him recording her, ooh, she was pissed. But like I said before, I'm a fan of hers. I am proud, but I am very disappointed in this because it's kind of like clearly she just don't care. That's all I can sum it to. Either she did not know he's like that, or she thinks he's changed, or she simply just don't care. And if she doesn't care about that, then why is she barking when other people are being racist towards her race and everything? She has no legs to stand on for that matter because of this and the whole Tim Burton thing, but mainly because of this. Like, there are real racist people in the world who probably idolizes this dude, and she's now a part of that world. And why in the world would you want to get into it for? Oh, and I forgot, the dude dressed up in a white hood with his band on stage resembling a certain white supremacist group. But oh no, the excuse is he's young, naive, and provocative and trying to be edgy. No, no. There was no political statement he was trying to make other than, hey, look at us. Like, isn't it funny to, like, exploit racism? I mean, just recently, there was a guy walking around town, not my town, but like somewhere in America, dressed like a Nazi. And he tried to go into a restaurant and they denied him. Then there is like, what happened at a hockey game just recently, the Dallas Stars hockey game. There was a group of white guys in the stadium and they decided to throw up the Nazi salute. They have now been banned from all hockey games. This is very real and this is very serious, and it's trying to bring its ugly head around because of what's going on around in the world and especially this country and stuff. And now she wants to be a part of that. And what? Just because what? She needs herself some? She needs to fall in love or something like that? There are a million other peoples in the world and you can't date none of them? That tells you a lot about her. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.